Hi guys, welcome to another live stream. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Nicole Wolf. I'm a paranormal romance writer. We're up little kiddos, and here on my channel, we do live streams, which are productivity sprints. So you can do writing during the sprints, or you can do editing or outlining or dishes or whatever it is that you need to get done. I also post some videos related to writing or books, or sometimes I'll throw in the occasional lifestyle mommy video. So if any of that interests you, make sure to check out, subscribe, and the little bell down below so you know when I go live and when I post new videos. If you are here with me live, make sure you say hello in the chat and let me know what you're going to be working on today and what your goal is for the live stream. So me, I'm going to be working on the second book in my Forbidden Fate series. I have a prequel up for free, which I don't have any links because I am terrible at this marketing stuff. But I have the prequel is up for free. I'll try and remember to toss links in the description of the live streams over or during the sprint or whatever. And the first book is available on all platforms. And I'm currently working on book 2. So, like I said, make sure to let me know what you're going to be working on during the live stream and what your goal is for the live stream. My goal is to try and hit 600 words. Um, because my average is usually about 200 words per sprint. So my live streams, we do 3 20-minute sprints with 5-minute breaks. And I try and keep my live streams to between an hour and a half and 2 hours, just because of the time that my kids get home. And it's just a lot easier for me to be done before they get home so that I don't get interrupted on all that stuff. So, um, so anyway, let me say hi to everybody that's in the chat. And if you're watching this on replay, make sure to comment, put in the comments, say hi, let me know what you're working on, and what your goal is, Camp NaNoWriMo in general, or the day, or whatever. So let me say hi to everybody in the comments. Not in the comments, I mean in the chat. Hi Wendy, you were here yesterday, so thanks for coming back and joining me. I see that you've already written almost 3,000 words for the day, and you're shooting for 3,500. So it sounds like you're probably going to hit that. I if I recall, were for sprints, you're probably going to hit that by the end of the live stream, because I think you're a pretty fast writer, pretty quick. Obviously, if you're writing 3,000 words before noon, I mean, unless you get up at like 3 in the morning or something. So good luck reaching your goal. Hi, Tina. Yes, she's here again. Don't forget to let me know what you're doing. Tina is finishing a final check on her steampunk novel. He sends it to the formatter. Oh, okay. So you're obviously in the process of publishing. That's going to be what takes up the majority of my time next month or June, because right now I'm supposed to be publishing this book at the end of May and I'm still writing it. So yeah, so I may end up pushing the release back until the end of June if I have to, but I'm gonna try and keep it where I'm at. Wendy, the name of the prequel novel is called Bitten by Darkness. I said you can get the paperback on Amazon, but the prequel is an exclusive for my newsletter. So that's why I said there's a book funnel link. I will try and find that during the first sprint, and I'll pop it into the comments. So it's a free, it's not, because I know a lot of people do novellas, like free prequel novellas. This is actually a full length prequel. So it's between 50 and 60,000 words. And it's free to everybody who signs up to my newsletter. So I will pop the link in the comments during the first sprint. And speaking of the first sprint, we've been chatting for about 5 minutes, so we should probably get some writing done. Um, oh, Tina says the book, The Courtesan of Constantinople, is already available in ebook. Oh, okay. I'll have to look that up. But my publisher let me keep my print rights, so I'm working on that before conference season, like writing conference season, I'm assuming. Yes, it is the Forbidden Fate series. Yes, I'm working on book 2 in that series right now as we're speaking. Um, so anyway, I'll have to look that up, or Tina, if you want to drop a link into, if you have like one of those universal links or something, you could drop that into the comments. Okay, so we've been chatting for a little while now, so let's start our first writing sprint for the day, because like I said, I'm supposed to be publishing this book at the end of May, so I'm but in motion. So let me pull up my clock, or my timer on my phone, because every time I try and do it through StreamYard, where I just like share another YouTube, like a YouTube video that has like the countdown timer, my computer just goes haywire on me, or StreamYard goes haywire. Something goes haywire. So I find it easier for me just to use my phone as my timer, because then my computer and StreamYard can't get mad at me and freak out. So 20 minutes on the clock, and let's get some writing done. Ready, set, go. Okay, guys, that's the end of the first sprint. Let me know how you guys did. And if you're just joining us, let us know what you're working on and what your goal is for the live stream. I'm going to pull up my word count quick. I actually wasn't, I mean, I guess I was a little bit. I was kind of jotting down, I was jotting down like scene ideas, and I just plop them right into my draft because I'm super organized this time around. And then it kind of gives me a starting point when I start a new scene. So that's what I was working on. Is I had a couple of scene ideas that were all kind of flooding in at one time, so I was jotting them down. Instead of just continuing with my okay, so before I pull up my word count, I wanted to quick ask you guys, uh, do you guys have a time of day that you seem to be the most productive when it comes to your writing, or that you normally schedule your writing? Because I know I've heard some people are morning writers, some people are night writers, some people like me are whenever the heck I have time writers. Although I can tell I produce more words later in the day than I do if I try to write first thing in the morning. Like I've tried that and it went horribly. I for a little bit, and it was very short lived. I got up at like 5 in the morning and tried to write at 5 in the morning, and I did not. I would write like 10 words if I was lucky, because half the time I would just be staring at a blank screen because my brain does not function at that hour apparently. Coffee I try and drink. So I've noticed for myself I tend to write best if I try and do it later in the day, like noon or later. So which is why when I do my live streams, I do them when I do them. So let me know if you guys found like a certain time of day works best for you. Um, and let me grab my word count. I guess I'll just count the little notes I wrote. They're words, right? So I got 211 words. So right around my average. My average is 200. So works for me. I include my little mini notes that I write to myself because they do end up helping me a lot as I move into future scenes. So let me quick run through the comments since we started the sprint last time. Hi Lex. Is it just Lex, or I see there's an A? Is it Lex A? Just Lex? Hello, thank you for joining me. I think this is your first time here, so welcome. Let us know what you're working on today and what you're writing, things like that, or if you're not writing, if you're doing something else, let us know that too. Wendy got 450 at 3,200 for the day so far. Wow, I'm a little envious right now because I never get. I don't think I've ever hit anywhere close to that in a day. Not even close. I think my record is like maybe 2,000, like 1,700, 2,000, something like that. That's like my record. Yeah, so that's cool. She only has four scenes left to the end. Lex got 282 words. Okay, so I'm assuming you are writing. You said that's I got 211, but a lot of that wasn't drafting. So oh well. Tina, I think Tina's in editing mode. She ran chapters 1 through 5 through Grammarly. Um, you're bringing up Grammarly. I have a question. Have you tried Pro Writing Aid? Because I've heard those are the two big ones that I've heard. And I did a trial for Writing Aid, but I don't think I did a trial for Grammarly yet. And I was wondering if you tried both, what do you prefer Grammarly, and why do you prefer Grammarly? Because like I said, I tried Pro Writing Aid. I really liked Pro Writing Aid. It's just at the time I couldn't justify paying the price when I am lucky if I write one or maybe two books a year. So for me, I couldn't justify paying the monthly subscription price when I might only need it 2 months out of 12. So that was my problem. I kind of wish you could do it on a month, like a 1 month basis, with and not have to pay it every month. I feel that way about a lot of things though. My Photoshop is the same way. Like I love Photoshop because I do my own covers, but I only need 2 years. So why am I paying for it every month when I only use it 1 or 2 months a year? So anyway, Tina says she tends to write better in the late morning or early afternoon. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I can start earlier than 12. Um, I just kind of like to give myself the morning to kind of get up and wake myself up, have a cup of coffee, get some of my like non-writing stuff done for the day. Like this morning I was working on cleaning out my extra spare room downstairs because me and my husband just had a vow renewal last month and it was just packed with stuff that needed to be put away. So I was working on that this morning. So that's usually what I do. I usually do those kind of like mundane tasks that don't require a lot of brain work in the morning. And then by the time 12 o'clock rolls around, I'm fully awake and I'm ready to, well, usually by that time I've been running around. So I'm ready to just sit and focus on brain work by that time. Lex says, I write better at early morning or late night with cold iced coffee. Oh, I love iced coffee. Although lately I've been drinking hot coffee because it's cold here again. Guys, I don't know if you guys know this. I live in Pennsylvania. We got like 3.5 inches of snow on Monday. I was just, I was like, why? We're even after Easter now. Why? I don't want any more snow. Anyway, so I've been coffee kick because it's cold outside again, but I'm looking forward to iced coffee season. Wendy says, I'm a morning writer. I usually start at 8 a.m. and write for 45 hours and then move on to other writing related things. And I try and be out of the office by 6 to 7 p.m. Wow, that's a lot of time spent in the office. Um, so now I know why your word counts are always so high by the time you get here on the live stream. No wonder you're at like 2,000-3,000 and you've already spent 5 hours. That explains it. So yeah, it sounds like that's probably why your word counts are so much higher, is because you're devoting a lot of hours to it in a day. And I haven't worked myself up to that point yet where I can spend that many hours doing it. Don't be envious. These words are total crap. Ah, everybody has a process, and I know some people, they call them who is it? I think Kate Kavanaugh calls them zero drafts, where she's pretty much pantsing it, and then she goes, "Yeah, my it's not even a first draft because everything's all over the place. I got to go back and I have to like actually outline it from my zero draft and then pretty much rewrite it so that it makes sense, so that it actually makes sense to somebody other than me." So I don't think they're total crap. They're just probably, you have a different process and you're able to kind of dig through lines in what you've already written, where I can't turn my inner editor off in order to do that, which is why I'm such a slow writer. But my first drafts are usually relatively clean. So that probably, like, I'm spending more time on my first draft than you are, maybe, but you might go through more revisions than I go through because I was doing editing that I should not have been doing while I was drafting. Wendy says Grammarly's premium is nice. See, I only ever there. I don't think I've tried Grammarly yet. I've tried Pro Writing and had like a free trial. Um, and I don't know if I've used. I don't know if I've even tried the free version of Grammarly. I think I might have. But I found that the free version of Grammarly isn't really providing what I need because all it's really doing is doing like spell check, and sometimes it'll tell me like, this wording isn't quite right, or something like that. It doesn't really give me. Pro Writing Aid had like whole reports where it would actually let you know like how much passive voice are you using, how many adverbs are in your work, how many, what's your average number of words per paragraph, because you don't want like giant, 10-line paragraphs all the time, because that's really bogging down to a reader. So I found I really liked Pro Writing Aid's reports and stuff like that, but file ran out, you had to pay for the premium version, and I was just like, I only need this for 1 or 2 books a year. Why am I paying a premium subscription when I'm not using it this much? Like, it makes sense if you're publishing every month, but I'm not. So that was just my experience so far. So I don't know. I have to see if Pro Writing Aid allows you to just kind of start, do a subscription for 1 month and then cancel it and then just restart it when you need it again for a month. I don't know. Lex says, I'm so excited to read your book. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like the cover, because I actually do my own covers. I know they tell you that's a no-no, but I've spent a load of time learning Photoshop, so I cannot tell you the number of hours I put into Photoshop. Oh, Tina says, I'm assuming the free Grammarly catches most, or do you have the premium Grammarly, Tina, or do you have the free version that Wendy was? I don't know. Oh, you use the free version. Okay, I'm sorry, I got you confused. I was like, who was talking about the premium and who was talking about the free version? Okay, so I'll have to try it again. I mean, it's free, so why not, right? Um, anything else is caught by my editors at the publishing house. Yeah, that's true. See, my editor is more of a like a developmental editor, so they don't really catch like that kind of stuff, like the adverbs and the how long are your paragraphs, at nature. He focuses more on story than he does on grammar. However, I'm relatively good at grammar, so that's probably why I didn't find the free version of Grammarly as helpful. It's just because I need more help before I get to that stage usually. Oh no, Wendy, don't say that. I don't want any more snow. I'm so tired of snow. although it's sunny outside today, but it's still not warm. It's sunny though, and the snow's already melted. So at least it's not sticking around. Tina says in North Dakota it's snowing today, and apparently it'll be 70 on Saturday and then down to the 30s on Sunday again. Just to not know the season is over. It's not spring. That's the problem. It's sprinter, which is basically the part of winter where it teases you that spring is supposed to be here, but it's not. That's how I feel about it. At least 2 revisions on this, but I've learned that if I don't shave my inner editor in the closet, I'm sorry. If I don't shove my inner editor into the closet, I'll get frustrated and end up not writing at all. I know. Well, some people don't handle their inner editor very well. I've learned to just kind of work with her. So, like, if she's really at me about something, I'll be like, fine, I'll go fix it. Fine. And then I'll feel better and I'll move on. And that's what happens. It says, I've heard that if you use the premium version of Grammarly or Pro Writing Aid, you can get by without a copy editor. Oh, since my stuff goes to an editor either way. Well, yeah, that makes sense why you wouldn't need the pro version because you have a copy editor. See, I have a developmental editor. I don't have a copy editor, which is probably why I really did like the premium versions. Well, I tried for Writing Aid, but it was really helpful. I will say that. Just because my editor gives it back to me before, so I do that stuff myself, the copy editing and stuff. But that's probably because that's where my strength lies when it comes to editing. I'm better at editing that stuff than I am storyline stuff. So that I knew for myself, I needed a developmental editor more than I needed a copy editor. But I will definitely have to consider at least paying for the month subscription of Pro Writing Aid or Grammarly, just so I have it, just so it goes through some other set of eyes on my own copy editing, even if it's just a program. Lex says, I use Grammarly because my grammar's trash. My writing is not, but my writing isn't trash. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. I've just found that grammar is one of my strengths, whereas I'm not saying I'm bad at a story. I can write a story, but sometimes I'm very bad at figuring out where I'm not filling in enough because I'm an underwriter. So my developmental editor will let me things are clean. Um, and I do that on purpose because my developmental editor is actually an editor who doesn't necessarily read my genre, which for me is a good thing because I am an underwriter. So if I can get him to a point where he understands what's going on, then I know that people who do read my genre will not be confused at all. So Wendy says I'm looking at Pro Editor and I might switch to that when my Grammarly soon is done. I've never heard of Pro Editor. Is that something different? That's not Pro Writing Aid. That must be something different. Um, Tina says I'm still hunting for beta readers and proofers. Yeah, I'm in the I do alpha readers, and the only reason I do alpha readers as well as beta readers, in fact, sometimes it's the same thing. Like I'll just have alpha readers do it. And I just do that because I found if I have alpha readers who are reading it as I'm writing it, it keep writing at a consistent basis. And I won't fall into my let's take 2.5 months off of writing. You know what I mean? If I know I have alpha readers who are waiting for the next chapter, it will make me write the next chapter because I need that outside push to write, which is another reason why I started these live streams. Because I'm like, if I have people who are waiting for me to get on, I will get on and I will get some writing done. So, um, so yeah, I went on, there's a ton of Facebook groups dedicated to beta readers and things like that. I just pop into those groups and just let know, hey, I have a book that I need some alpha readers or beta readers on. Here's here's the title, here's a quick like blurb or a synopsis, so you know kind of what kind of book you're getting into, and let me know if you want to exchange first chapters to see if it's your thing or not. And then, people will comment and be like, hey, I'm interested. And that's how it starts. Oh, hey, Wendy meant pro writing aid. Okay, so they have a lifetime access. Okay, see, again, that would probably be what would make sense for me the most, I guess. It's just $300 is still a lot for something that I'm going to use twice a year, maybe. I feel like I don't know if it's worth the money. I mean, in my head, I know it's worth the money because I mean, an actual copy editor would cost way more than that, especially over the long. So it's like my head knows that it makes sense. It's just hard to let go of that $300 for something that I know I'm not using a whole lot. That's all. Oh, okay. So Tina has a critique group that catches that catches a lot. That's nice. See, I'm still kind of trying to create my critique group, so I'm kind of more in the beginning stages of that right now. And that's probably just because it takes me a while to write a book. So by the time I get from one book to the next book, it could be some time. So then I'll have lost some of my old critiquers and I have to find new ones. So anyway, all right, guys, we've been chatting probably way longer than 5 minutes, and we need to get some more writing done. So let's get another sprint in. I've got 20 minutes on the clock. Ready, set, and go. Okay, guys, time's up. That is the end of the second sprint. Let me know how you guys did, what you were working on, all that good stuff. Let me grab my word count. And before I do, another question for you guys. Do you guys listen to music when you write? I can't. I can't listen to music at all. Like, not even instrumental music, which is weird. Like, I know a lot of people can listen to instrumental. I can't even listen to instrumental. It's very distracting. Any kind of music at all is distracting for me. Like, I'll pay attention to the music instead of what I'm supposed to be working on. So I know some people can listen to music, some can't. I'm just wondering. I just happen to be one of those people that can't listen to music at all when I'm writing. Okay, where did I leave off? There I am. I got 189 words that time. Although that time I was actually drafting. Although I was drafting a future scene that I just kind of started, and then the conversation of that scene kind of started coming to me, and I was like, I guess I'm writing it now, because that's what happens with me sometimes. I think I'm just jotting a quick note, and then all of a sudden the whole scene starts, and I'm just like, I wasn't here yet. I was like 20 scenes back yet. This is what happens when you pants. I don't know if it does. Anyway, let me quick say hi. Comments. Hi, Coffee Create Connect. I know you've been here before, so thanks for jumping back in and saying hi. They can only stay for a few minutes because they have things they had done before their video. I keep saying her. I don't know if it's a boy or girl. I'm sorry. They have stuff to do before video premieres in 15 minutes. Oh, wow. Sprinting is going good. We got 2 sprints done so far, and I got whatever 211 plus 189 is. I can't math, so whatever that is, which I think is 400. I think. I don't know. I told you my math isn't the best, but I think it's 400. Lex says I feel like my writing is absolute crap, and I want to give up. Oh no. Okay. Because there's always going to be days when you feel like your writing is crap. And then if you just push through it, eventually you're going to get to a scene that it could just be if you're like forcing yourself to write a scene that you're not super excited about. Sometimes that's kind of when that happens, when you're really not into the scene. So if you kind of just give yourself permission to move on to either a different scene that you are more excited about, or even just jotting down notes, because that's what happens to me when I'm on a scene. I'll just start jotting notes for other scene ideas, and it'll get me kind of back into that excitement mode where I'm like, okay, I feel better about it now. So sometimes that's all you need to do. Basically forcing the story out of my head at this point. Yeah, that's what I mean. If you're kind of feeling like you're forcing it, then that's kind of when you end up writing a lot of stuff that you're not going to like later. Which, like I said, that just means you need to move on to a different point in this, or just even a different story. Some people work on more than one story at a time, because if they are kind of running out of steam on one story, they'll hop to the other story, and then they'll get their excitement back in that story, and they'll get some inspiration to kind of go back to the other story and feel more excited about it after they've kind of stepped back from it for a little bit. That's kind of why I think with this one I'm jumping around more than I usually do. He says I listen to music while editing. Oh, see, editing I might be able to do that with. I'm not sure. I think if I was just like simply in copy edit mode, I could probably listen to music. But if I'm drafting, or like early revisions where you're changing whole paragraphs or writing whole, like, because me, I'm an underwriter. So I end up having to add stuff into my draft. I don't think I'd be able to listen to music during that process, but probably by the time I got to like the copy editing too. I have playlists for different vibes. I've heard a lot of people do that. They do different playlists for different moods or different types of scenes that they write. Yeah, I need total quiet while I'm drafting. Absolute well, I shouldn't say absolute silence because obviously I live in a house with like other people. Although I tend to do most of my writing when I am all alone in the house and it is lovely and I love it, which is what I'm doing now. So it is usually extremely quiet when I draft. Wendy got 300 words that sprint. Awesome. Awesome. I think you're creeping up towards that, if you're not already there, that 3,500 goal that you mentioned in the beginning. Tina got chapters 6 through 10 run through Grammarly edits. And she says, sometimes I listen to instrumental music, but it has to be classical instrumental. Right now she's listening to, a fireplace app. See, that's something I forget about all the time. I forget that they have those, what do they call them? Ambient or ambiance thing. Not music, it's just sounds, like a fireplace crackling or pages in a library or coffee or like liquids pouring. See, I wouldn't be able to do that because then I feel like I have to go pee all the time. So I haven't done that one in a while. I did that last year a lot in the like fall around the holidays, like right before the holidays hit. I was doing a lot of ambient videos, where it was like leaves falling and wind and blah 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 blah. Anyway, so I'll have to remember to do that stuff again because I know I can do ambient noises. I just can't do music. When he says this next sprint is going to be a lunch break sprint, there we go. I had lunch before I came on, so Tina says I'm more productive alone as well. Yeah, that is when I get the most work done is when I am completely by myself and it's just me and the animals pretty much. That's when I get able to focus the best because I don't have kids running to me like I need this and I need that and I love you, mommy, and I love you too, honey. Give me a hug. My kids are very like, which I love about them, don't get me wrong. They're very sweet and they're very like very lovable. They like physical affection, lots of hugs and kisses and stuff like that. So, um which is probably why they require more attention when they're home because they're like that, which like I said, don't get me wrong, I love it. It's just it means I really need to take her not here so that I can actually get stuff done. Wendy says, I have 3,500 words exactly. Wow, there you go. You reached your goal. I might keep going after I eat. That's usually when the eat and then sleep come on. Yeah. I get like that after dinner. See, after dinner, it's hard for me because that's when I start getting like, I have full belly and I could sleep. My husband is in Texas, so I'm trying to get draft 1.5 done. Okay. Okay. 1.5. What I mean, obviously it's a revision draft. But you said you're running it through Grammarly already? I'm assuming you had to have done like the big revisions already, like if you have to move a scene around or you have to cut a scene or add a scene or so on and so forth. You must have already done that. If you're already at the like copy editing stage. Okay, Lex says, I wish I could write my book out of order, but it hurts my brain to be disorganized like that. That would probably help though. Well, I will say that's how I usually am. I am usually a person who wants to write the book from beginning to end in that order. But I'm pantsing this time instead of outlining prior. So I have not outlined at all before I sat down to start writing this, which basically means as I'm drafting, I'm getting ideas for future scenes and have the ideas for those future scenes. And for me, you weren't here. I think yesterday I might have talked about this, that When I draft, my first draft, I'm an underwriter, so my first drafts tend to be mostly conversations or dialogue and actions. So when I got an idea for one of the scenes today, like as soon as I got the idea in my head and I started writing out just the idea, I immediately started getting dialogue in conversation that would start happening during the scene, which happens all the time for me. Like that's the first thing that always comes to my head is always what's the conversation going to be. So which is why I'm wondering if I was a screenwriter in a previous life, because it's odd to always get conversations first, always. So anyway, that's why I ended up writing out of order. It's just because while I'm thinking of the exact conversation, I want to get it written down, because if I don't, forget what the conversation is supposed to be, and then I feel like it wouldn't happen as naturally. Like the conversation wouldn't feel as natural, because then if I come back to it, I would feel more like I'm forcing the conversation instead of it just coming to me the way it did when I first got the idea for the scene. So that is the only reason I'm ending up writing out of order this time. And right now it's working for me, so I'm going to go with it. Wendy says, I know exactly what you mean about kids. I love you, but mama needs you to get out of the room right now. Exactly. That's exactly how I feel. It's like, oh, I love you and I love that you want to cuddle with me, but I need a minute, please. They're Wendy says they're grown now, but when they were little, between the kids, the cats, and the husband, I couldn't get a moment's peace. That is another reason why I am so glad that I am blessed enough to be able to stay at home during the day, because I know not everybody is, and I am at home even though the kids are in school now. But I was a stay-at-home mom since they were little, so we kind of got used to that lifestyle where we only needed one income. So he said to me, you might as well just keep going with it because you have tons of stuff that you're trying to do while the kids are in school. So you might as well just keep going. And I was like, I love you. So that's where we're at right now. Tina says, I haven't started book 2. It's after this print proof goes off to the formatter. Oh, okay. So you're currently working on a book 1 in a series. Um, Tina says, I work out of order all the time. Otherwise, no words would hit the page. Um, that's kind of what goes on. That's what's going on with me. Although I think this is the first time where I've written this far out of order. Like up to this point, so far I've kind of been just I might have been writing one or two scenes ahead. Like not right now I'm writing a scene that is literally like half the book ahead. like like I got to figure out what all is going in between where I left off and this next scene now, because it's that far into the future. Tina says my drafts are dialogue heavy too. I have to go back later and layer in tags, clothes, scenery. That is exactly how I write, although not tags. In fact, dialogue tag, my editor. I am really bad with dialogue tags. Apparently, I use way too many tags, and I have an aversion to said for some reason, I guess. He totally called me out on that. The fact that I don't like to use the word said. If I do use a dialogue tag, I just don't like the word said. I know they say that it's supposed to be invisible, but it's not invisible to me. Like said just stands out to me so much. I don't know why, but it does. Like I will use any word other than said, and he basically was saying you should be doing the opposite. You should be using said. If he said if you absolutely need a dialogue tag, he's like, first of all, you need to trust your dialogue. Half the time you don't even need a tag. We know who's saying what. And I was like, oh, fine. And he said, and when you do need a dialogue tag, it should more times than not be said and not be like whispered and snapped and every other word you could possibly think of that has to do with talking, I guess. And I was like, I know, but that is so boring. Like, she's not just saying it, like she's not saying it, like just saying it, like she's yelling it or she's whispering it or whatever. I don't know. It's a struggle. It's just a struggle. Okay. Wendy says, I was a stay at home mom for 13 years. I'm still a little crazy from it. Year. So I was a stay at home mom from 2010 until 2012. And then I went to work for 2 years. And then we had our second. And then I have been a stay at home mom since the end of 2014. So 8 years. In more than that in total, but 8 years since I've really been working. And I've had odd jobs in between. And I get bored too easily, and then I'm like, oh, I should go back to work. And then I realize I really don't. I want to do what I was doing. I'm weird. I've kind of come to a point finally where I'm like, you need to stop. Obviously, this is what works for you guys, what works for everybody right now, and you need to just let yourself stay at home. Like, stop feeling guilty and feeling like you need to go to work because the kids are in school and whatever. So, I mean, just mom struggles. Anyway, Lex has said it. That's how I feel. I feel like said should be dead because they say said is invisible, but it's not. If I'm reading a book, said, if they use the word said, it is like a spotlight is on that word for me. I don't know why. I don't understand why said feels like that to me. I think it's just because I feel like the word said is usually unnecessary. Like, if all you're saying is the dialogue, he or she said, and then, he said, she said, your dialogue should be good enough that you don't even need the word said. Is just my opinion. So then when I read the word said, I'm like, is it really necessary? Does it need to be there? I'd rather it not there because that word just yanks me right out of a story. And I know that's not true with everybody. It's just me. Said is like one of those words. It's like a pet peeve. And I don't know why. Tina says, and then I look up stuff in the emotional thesaurus. Oh, I love it. Oh, that's so good. I know that you know what I need the thesaurus for? This is another thing my editor pointed out to me. I use the word glared. Apparently, a lot of my characters, like all of my characters, glare at people. I don't know, but they do. Glare is like a crutch word for me. They glare at everybody. Apparently, I have a lot of irritated story. So that's usually a word that I need the thesaurus for is the word glared. So if you're reading through my book and you see the word glared, I'm warning you now, it's in there quite a lot. And then she'll change it, yeah. See, that's something usually if I'm doing a tag, it's usually an action tag for me. And that's almost automatic. Like, that's just the way I write my scenes. It's usually, like I said, my first drafts are action and dialogue. When I'm writing out my dialogue, it's usually just automatically has action tags in it because I'm envisioning what they're doing as they're talking automatically, which is cool for me. It means I don't have as many of that. Well, I don't have said because I never put said in my first draft, so I don't have to worry about that. For me, it's always I have too many tags, too many action tags, at least, or I just have too many unusual dialogue tags is usually a problem, and that I need to either then go in and take out, like they're not necessary. Like my editor said, the way you write your dialogue, the reader already knows that it's being whispered or it's being yelled or whatever it is. He's like, your dialogue is strong enough that most of the time the reader is going to know how it's even being said just from the context around the dialogue. And I'm like, okay, well, I wanted to be sure. So he's like, trust your dialogue. That's he's like, that's I'm gonna tell you that is your strength. Dialogue is definitely your strength. You need to trust it more and put your focus in the parts that are not your strength, like descriptions, because you're really bad at that. So, I mean, he's honest. Lex asks, how long should the average chapter be? My editor says my chapters are very short and I write about 1,000 words per chapter. Okay. So, uh, in my opinion, there is no such thing as a chapter that's too long or too short. There's no average chapter words. A chapter is basically however long it takes you to write that scene or whatever that point that you're trying to make. This is for nonfiction writers, but if you're a fiction writer, then it's pretty much however long your scene needs to be a clear high star, to have a beginning, a middle, and the end, because every scene should have a beginning, a middle. Do you mind, Star? I'm trying to have a conversation here. You're not helping. Anyway, your scene should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So some scenes are going to be heavier than other scenes. So for me, I have a very wide range of chapters. I have some chapters that are 3 pages long, and I have other chapters that are 12 pages long. And it's just because some scenes are longer and take more words to express than others. That's just what happens. So for me, a lot of times my longer chapters will be chapters that it's really the same scene, but it needed to be seen from 2 different viewpoints. Or if it's just the scene is a longer scene, it's just more action heavy. Um, so I want to say 1,000 words is too short. However, if you're able to get an entire scene, like an entire scene from beginning to end, completed in 1,000 words or less, I'm going to guess that you're probably an underwriter and you probably need to add more details into your scenes. So I would just look back and see if that's the case. If it's a first draft, it's really not that important of a thing to worry about. Don't worry about it right now if you're still in a first draft, because that's stuff that you worry about during revisions, when you kind of figure out whether you were an underwriter during that draft or if you kind of overshot and you gave too many details. But I'm guessing, since you're saying you're doing 1,000 words or less in a chapter, it probably means you're an underwriter. I am an underwriter. So there are plenty of times during my first drafts that I have chapters that are, like I said, 2-3 pages if I'm lucky. 1,000 words, and the scene's over. But I always have to add words to those scenes. Wendy says, yeah, 1,000 words seem a little short. Lengthen them by lumping scenes together into one chapter. That's another thing. You don't. It's not like you have to do one scene per chapter. It depends how you're laying out your chapters. So some people lay out a chapter by scene, and some people will lay out a chapter depending on like a part they want a certain plot point. For instance, if you look at like Harry Potter, you'll see like one of the chapters will go with book 1. The chapter where Harry Potter finds out he's a wizard, which is the one where Hagrid comes in. That chapter obviously is more than one scene. There's several scenes that are all inside of that one chapter, but the main idea of that chapter is all contained inside of that one chapter. So like I said, I have to figure out what is the main plot point that you want to happen inside of that chapter. Okay, Wendy says, I love the thesaurus. I have all of them. My characters are constantly glaring, sighing, and rolling their eyes. I know I have a ton of those to edit out. Yes, I'm right there with you. I am really bad with the rolling of the eyes and the glaring at people. I think it's because for me, like facial expressions are like mainly like that's the main where the expression, probably because I'm really trying to avoid dialogue tags. So I'm, instead of me saying she said, I'm showing them what their face looks like instead. Um so apparently my characters glare a lot because I feel like we as people glare a lot. Like there are certain things that I think just people use as an expression. Like that's what they do. They roll their eyes, they sigh, and they do it all the time. Like I do it several times a day. So maybe that's just me, but yeah, usually I need to go in and I need to kind of tone it down during my revisions because I'm like, okay, she's glared like 3 times in this one scene. Now we're pushing it. Wendy says, I have some chapters that are one scene and others that are as many as 5 scenes. Yeah, chapter length doesn't matter as much as long as the guts are there. Yeah. Um, Thank you, Tina. You know what? Good for us that we need to stop the chatting and get some more writing. Because she sent another 11, 12, 13, 14, 5 chapters through Grammarly while we were chatting. Look at her getting stuff done while we're busy just yakking our faces off. Anyway, let's get some more writing done because that's actually why we're here. And Wendy is probably getting hungry because she's supposed to be on a lunch break. So let's start our next sprint and Wendy can go get something to eat. Let me know what you're having good. Because I love food. So let me know. And we will start our next sprint. 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, guys, the end of the last sprint. So let me know how you did. What you were working on, all that stuff. Uh, I'm not sure if I can get an exact word count for this last sprint because I was jumping around. I was jumping. That was just because I finished up the scene like that was in my head that I was talking about, and then I was kind of going back and filling in a little more detail into some of my other scene ideas. Like before, I had like one sentence for the whole scene, and then like I was kind of a little more detail into those. I mean, it's not like I was writing the scene; it was just like I was filling in the scene idea more. Does that make sense? Anyway, so I'm not quite sure what my sprint total was, but I can get a total for the whole read, which is which is right here. Let me see. 609 words. Ooh, so I just made my goal. My goal for the stream was 600 words. So I just made it. Wendy says she had leftover goulash. Ooh, that's isn't that Polish? I think that's Polish. For some cabbage in it, and I don't know why. I could be thinking of something else because there's a lot of Polish dishes around here in where I live in Pennsylvania. Um, like oh, what is that called? They have it at the parade every year, and I cannot think of it. But it's almost like corned beef and cabbage, but it's not corned beef. It's something else with the cabbage, and I can't think of it right now. And I forget what it's called. Um, Lex says I'm this close to deleting everything I have in this book and starting over. Okay. First of all, don't delete it. Point one, do not delete it. If you're frustrated, you can always just start a whole new document. Just don't delete it. And I'm only saying this because I know where you're at because that's where I am right now. The draft I am currently working on is literally a complete of the book that I finished, meaning this is take 2 of the book of my Marked by Moon, which is the second book in my Forbidden Fates. This is my second time writing it because I wrote a first draft. I wrote an entire 50 some thousand word draft, and I wasn't happy with the way the romance was coming. Like I felt like the romance was really, really lacking. Paranormal romance. I don't want to say it was lacking because I mean, don't get me wrong, there was the romance scenes in it, but I felt like the romance felt forced in that. Like whatever was going on with the coupling, I don't know. So I didn't delete that draft. I still have that whole 50 to 60,000 word draft. However, I have restarted the entire book with an entirely new storyline. The only thing that stayed the same is my main female character is the same main female character that was in the first time, but she's with a completely different person. Like the main love interest or the main male character is a completely different person. The whole storyline is pretty much different. I'm not saying I haven't pulled some of the elements of the action storyline into this draft, but for the most part, it's completely different, which is why I didn't delete it, but I did just put that whole draft aside and I just took another shot at it to see if the second draft, or not the second, it's not the second draft, it's the second first draft basically is what it is, to see if once I got so many words into it, if I actually liked the way the way the romance developed in this new coupling better than the first time. better than the first couple that I tried. The first love interest that I tried with my main female character, her name's Kayleen. So the first love interest in the first draft that I wrote is, do I like this new love interest in this second first draft better than I liked the first one? So that's kind of where I'm at so far. I can definitely say I'm liking this rewrite better where the romance is involved. So I think it was the right decision, but I'm just saying don't delete don't delete it, because you never know if you're going to like the second time around better. You may end up writing and then you realize, you know what? I think I had it right the first time. And if he's gone and you can't get it back. So I'm not saying don't try it. If you really think there's something wrong with it, then there's nothing wrong with trying again. Just don't get rid of it, because those are still words that you wrote. And until you actually rewrite it, you're not going to know if you need those words or not. That's just my suggestion. Okay, Tina says that she got chapters 16 through 20 run through Grammarly now. Wow. Is that what, I think that's what you've been doing most of the day. When we got onto the live stream, that's what you were doing. You were putting chapters through Grammarly. So I don't know how many chapters your book is, but it sounds like you're getting there. If you're 20 chapters in now, I don't know how many chapters you're in. You have, but it sounds like you're getting there. You're close. You're close to being done with that part of it. So so yeah. Uh Lex, let me know what you um if you're going to start over, or if you're going to, I don't know how far into your draft you are, because like I said, I had literally written the entire thing before I decided to try again and start over. So I think it's because I had it in my mind that you need to see it through to the end. Even though I knew I was struggling, like it was a struggle, because I knew, but I didn't know how to fix it while I was drafting it the first time, so I just kept pushing through. And it wasn't until I was getting ready to revise that draft that I got the idea, because of the very first scene that I wrote in the first draft. While I was rereading it, it gave me an idea for a whole new storyline, and it gave me the idea of who the new love interest could be. So, had not that first draft, I wouldn't have had the idea for this new draft. So, I don't know if you want to call that wasted words. I know in my mind, I'm like, so many words that I might not have needed, but like I said, had I not written it, I wouldn't have had the idea for this draft anyway. So is it really wasted words? I guess not. It's a process. That's all it is. Um yeah. I I think, Lex, I think if you're struggling that much, now don't get me wrong. I don't want to say as soon as you hit a point where you're struggling, it means you need to start over, because that's not true. It's definitely not true. You're going to have struggles in a book, even a book that you absolutely love when you're done. But if you're struggling for a big chunk of the book, then there's probably something that needs to change. Um, because it means that there's something really wrong fundamentally with it. If you're struggling, sit down and write it. There's because if you don't like what you're writing, then the person reading it isn't going to like it. Like, because they're going to be able to tell that you were not into writing this book. It you can't hide it. It's part of the craft. So if it's that much of a struggle for that long, then you are probably best just putting it on a shelf. Don't delete it. Just put it on a shelf and just give yourself a little space. Maybe try and seeing if you miss if you end up missing writing about that story. Because if you start something else and you don't miss it at all, like you don't miss the story, you don't miss the characters, you don't miss anything about it, then it, like I said, it probably means that something in that story needs to change. But if you start something new and you end up missing those old characters, it means that there's something in there that you are excited about. You just got to figure out what it is. You got to figure out what was it that what went wrong along the way. Why am I not excited now? What changed? When did it change? So let us know. I think you said you're gonna try starting over. So good luck. We'll be here for you as you work through this next draft, just like I'm doing. So we're in the same boat. And it wasn't a bad thing for me, because I will say I'm enjoying writing this draft better than I did, I think. It seems to be coming easier for me this time around. I don't know if it's because now I'm more familiar with my main female character, because I've written her for an entire book already, so I really feel familiar with her, and she was in the previous book, the first book in the series. So I think it's just maybe, I don't want to say that the first time I wrote it was a waste of time. I don't think it was. It's a shame that it took me that long to write that draft, and now I got to write another draft. That's the part that, you know what I mean? Oh, Tina finished all of her chapters, I'm assuming, through Grammarly. So yay, that's done. One other check off your list, of your editing list. I don't know if you have an editing list. I have an editing. I have a list for everything. So, um, Wendy says, for my first book, I had the hardest time connecting to my main character. I connected to everyone else, but not him. I changed it to first person and gave him a stutter. Everything changed after that. Oh, there you go. See, sometimes it's just, you got to figure out what you're not meshing with. So, and see, that's what happened to me. I realized I was not meshing with original my original love interest. So my main male character in my original draft was what I wasn't connecting with. Like, I was having a hard time connecting with him. I was having a hard time making it make sense for these two people to be together. Like, it just felt very forced, and you definitely don't want that in a romance. So I knew when I started rereading it and how much I didn't like them two together, that if I didn't like them together, nobody else was going to like them together. So that's what made me decide I have to rewrite the whole thing, like, from scratch. But it's going better this time because, like I said, I'm more familiar with my main female character now than I was then. And the male character, even though he wasn't a big role in the other books, he's been a character in my head, at least for a while. And I felt like there was more opportunities for a natural relationship to grow with these two than with the last time I tried. So, Wendy says, like Rachel and Joey. Oh my gosh. I love Friends, by the way. Yes, like Rachel, like Rachel and Joey. That was just so bad. That was so bad. It really was. I didn't understand the whole why. Just, I don't understand. Um because Rachel and Ross, like, why did they need to have a romance between now Rachel and Joey? Like, there was already a Rachel and Ross. Because in my mind I was like, okay, well, if that's what they're going to do, it's going to be Rachel and Ross, and it's going to be, and of course I guess it's going to be Phoebe and Joey. That's not what happened, and in my mind I was like, Phoebe and Joey don't, like, they're too much alike. You know what I mean? Like, they're both very off the wall characters. And but anyway, the Rachel and Joey storyline was just like, I feel like it came out of nowhere, and it was just It was in there just to be in there. I don't understand. Sense to me, which is what was happening with this original couple, which is why half the time I was reading it, I was like, why? Why are they doing this? Why is she doing that? Why is he doing this? It doesn't make sense. I don't know why this is happening, and I'm writing it right now. Yeah, I know, Wendy. It was even Jennifer Aniston and Matt LeBlanc weren't a fan of that either. They were like, "What are the writers thinking?" Anyway, we'll get off of our friends tangent now. Get back to what we were talking. Actually, it's after 2. My kids are going to be home in like 15 minutes. So unfortunately, guys, I got to head out. But I will be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. So if you guys haven't checked out the subscribe button down there somewhere, there's a subscribe and a little bell. Make sure you check that out. I post videos randomly, but I am doing live streams Monday through Thursday at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So if you want to come back and join me for more live streams, make sure to check out my channel and subscribe so you know when I'm going live. I will be back tomorrow at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's all for me today, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see everyone tomorrow. Bye.